Welcome to another episode of Wat with me, Willem Welsyn, a little humble podcast show that I record and produce out of my living room in Durbanville every week for my Afrikaans chommies and my bi-curious bilingual brasse. If you're an English-speaking person with no grasp or grammar of the Afrikaans taal, don't weg nou kommer and feel asseblief gerus-free to fast forward about 5 minutes into the digitale future of this episode, because obviously you clicked the link to listen to my interview, my conversation with this week's guest, Mr. Donny Truter, the Donster, aka Kloof Street Bukowski. You would like that. The frontman, the precious poet, the poetic performer, the preacher, the wildest whistle in the West, and the main name of the band, Taleswapper. Here, look at me clapping an English intro, as if I do this like so every week. Now, usually I do this in Afrikaans, and obviously I've got another language that I can speak and praat. So if you can't understand Afrikaans, please fast forward about a few minutes in, because I just want to say hello to my Afrikaans listeners. Welkom by nog 'n episode van Wat met my Willem Welsyn. Jy ken die drill. Baie dankie vir julle wat geluister het na my gesprek met Hugo Veldsmann laasweek. En dankie vir die van julle wat al van nommer 1 afluister. Ek waardeer elke liewe een se oordromme, se oorbuisies, loof hom met die tromme, loof hom met die meisies. Okay, wie is op die show vandag, was dit vir Donny Truter. Nou, Donny is die main man agter die projek, die band, die entity, met die naam van Taleswapper. En as jy al vir Donny gesien perform het, kyk jy die man fluit, die man preek, die man is 'n goeie digter, hy's 'n woordsmid, hy's 'n towerwoorder. Jy sal hom al gecheck het in Cape Town, jy sal hom miskien al in Parys gesien het, jy sal hom miskien al in New York gesien het, jy sal hom miskien al in Stellenbosch gesien het, maybe in Kraaifontein, maybe in 'n bar in Bellville. Nou anyway, ja, ek raak way te lyries van ons fucking laat in die aand, en ek en Benny was juist in Brackenfell vanaand, so dis hoekom ek so chipper klink. So ja, Donny het kom kuier, en hy en Jock, die precies van Mr. Cat and the Jackal, Jock, ja bra, Jock, wat die saag kan speel, en basically enige ander instrument ook, hulle twee speel saam in die band, maar ons gaan nou daaroor gesels met Donny, jy weet, in die gesprek, so sien uit daarna. As jy 'n gereelde luisteraar is, sal jy onthou dat ek laasweek mos 'n e-mail gelees het, van 'n girl wat 'n fees bygewoon het waar ons gespeel het, so 2 weke gelede. As ek reg onthou, het die e-mail gegaan oor hoe hulle by die fees ingesneek het, sonder om te betaal, en toe stuur sy mos vir my tip. Ek het mos haar e-mail uitgelees nou laasweek op my episode met Hugo Veldsmann, en toe stuur sy nou 'n follow-up e-mail hierdie week, en ek gaan nou haar e-mail ook lees. So, ek dink niemand gaan vir my e-mail stuur, want ek gaan nie al julle e-mails uitlees. Sy sê vir my, okay, haar naam is Marna, by the way, sy sê, hahaha, ontbloot jy ons nou lekker, definitief nie meer slypenaars nie, moes dalk 'n skuilnaam gebruik het, lekker podcast met Hugo, mens kon hoor, jy het die man vreeslik laat tik, doch ek gooi sommer 'n voorstel van iemand wat 'n goeie gas sal maak. Ken jy vir Cordier de Beer, of Cordier de Beer, of beter bekend as Korazavas. Ek weet nie hoe spreek my sy naam uit nie, maar ek het hom ontmoet, ja, okay, ek gaan nou oor praat. Nou sê sy, hy boer daar buite valwater in Limpopo, met bokke, en hakies, 'n vraagteken, en liedjies. Ek weet nie hoe die logistiek sal werk nie, maar ek noem dit sommer, miskien kruis julle paai eendag. Groete, Marna Kritsener, daar uit ek jou weer, Marna. Ek ken vir, ek probeer net dink, want ek is 'n klein bietjie dronk, en het is laat, Koravaravas. Ek sê heeltemal verkeerd. Ek het hom ontmoet by Gifberg Spook, daar so by Van Reinsdorp, en ek het van sy liedjies gehoor, en hy is 'n ongelooflike songwriter. Ek het hom een keer ontmoet, so my pa het al gekruis met hom, sal lieflik wees met hom te gesels. Ek weet nooit hoe spreek mense dit goed uit nie. Kordier, yes. Ek sal met hom opvolg en as hy in die Kaap kom, dan sal ek reël dat hy by my kom sit vir 'n interview. Dankie Marna. Ek weet jy het nie gedink ek sal jou follow-up e-mail lees nie. Ek het regtig nie bedoel om jou te out nie, maar ek waardeer jou gees en die tip wat jy vir ons band gestuur het as gevolg van die podcast. Vir die res van julle, wees 'n Marna, veral nou dat dit die 27ste is, vir my salaris trekker luisteraars. As jy elke week luister en jy voel jy wil of jy kan iets bydra vir die Wat podcast, wees soos Marna en wees soos W. de Meyer, soos Robert Thompson, soos Saskia, Pedri, Johan of Marius de Beer, en daar's nog 'n hele paar van julle, ek ken al julle name op my kop, ek onthou nie, maar ek onthou nou 'n paar van julle wat al geskenk het vir die show, en gebruik die PayPal link in die description, of gaan na watpod.podbean, as jy sommer net straight die EFT wil skiet, vandat ek mos nou nie meer 'n 8 to 6 of 'n 9 to 5 werk het nie, kan ek hierdie show elke week slegs op julle genade doen. So elke bietjie help, en ek weet sê dat ek mos nou weer begin podcast het hierdie jaar, is daar so plus minus 1000 van julle wat elke week inskakel om te luister. En as net 'n handjievol van julle van daai 1000 elke week 'n bydrae maak, dan kan ek aanhou bekostig om hierdie show voltyds vir julle te maak. So gaan na watpod.podbean om 'n straight EFT te doen, daar's ons details, of gebruik net die PayPal link in die episode se description. Even as jy net wil hê ek moet 'n advertensie vir jou uitlees op die program, dan doen ek dit vir jou for next to nothing. So stuur vir my 'n e-mail na williamwelfare@gmail.com toe en subscribe op my William Welfare channel op YouTube, subscribe op Spotify, op Apple Podcasts, op enige ander plek waar jy hierdie luister, want hoe meer nommers, hoe beter. Onthou, ek voel dit wat ek hier doen elke week vir jou is belangrik, maar ek kan dit nie alleen doen nie. So stiek uit. Okay, genoeg daarvan. Kom ons luister na my gesprek met Donny Truter. Ek hoop julle geniet hom.
So I wanted to fry you.
Gaan voort, my friend.
So obviously your dad was Afrikaans. And I remember one time we were catering at Jocks. And
Jeez, that one time.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
so I remember that you told me something about growing up in Beaufort West, or that you have some.
No, so
But yeah, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Richards Bay.
Oh,
which
Richards
is
Bay.
Northern Natal, Zululand
Yeah.
area, yeah. My dad's from Beaufort West.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
So that was the connection.
Yeah, so my dad grew up in the Karoo, and yeah, he's interesting man.
Did your mom and your dad meet in Richards Bay?
They met in Natal, yeah, and married. My mom was fairly young, and yeah, relocated to Zululand. My father saw prospect out there, and yeah, he raised us all four of us there. And then yeah, I think we gravitated to the Cape as my siblings started going to university at Stellenbosch. I think the family kind of packed up in 99, 2000, and we've been here since, so 26 years. But I still support the Sharks. So
He's still a Sharks boy.
yeah.
Ja, so onthou jy in die uitdaag kabous van 'n Westhuizen.
Pretty kabousie.
Pretty
Yeah,
kabous,
yeah.
ja, jy kan hom nie flou sien.
It's funny how Pretty Kabousie always comes up when you think about rugby in the 90s.
Yeah, of course, and Andrew Baer.
Sure.
And he was
The Rolls Royce.
Yeah, my boy. That was the OG Percy Montgomery. You know, the Rekkie Percy.
The Afrikaans Percy.
Okay, so you grew up in Richards Bay. That's like a fucking surf jawl there.
Yeah, it's sun and surf. It's very hot.
Were you there like in primary school and high school?
I went to primary school in 1995. I finished, and then I went to boarding school in the Midlands.
A boarding school, is that like a private school?
Yeah, I mean, you can have non-private public schools that are boarding schools.
But what does the boarding mean?
It means you basically live on the premises. They feed and
okay,
they
okay,
feed
yeah.
and
So like a
house you.
hostel, and
Yeah.
that's like everybody in the school lives on the premises.
Board and lodging.
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining. Because I actually I never knew what a fucking boarding school was. It's so you live on the premises, and everybody. It's not like you've got town kids coming in.
No, not at this school. This school in particular had no weekly boarders and no day boys. It was just straight up.
And what is
You
what,
lived with 500 odd dudes your age, and
so
older.
that boarding school was in Richards Bay.
No, that boarding school was in the Midlands. So north, I don't know if it's north, but mountainous area of Pietermaritzburg.
It's almost like a Splashy Fen kind of location. That's my only point of reference.
Totally, Splashy Fen boarding school, yeah, where people cut their teeth.
So how far was that from Richards Bay?
About 3.5 hours
okay,
drive.
cool. So-
Yeah. So you kind of had to stay.
So you are 4 siblings, and where are you in the lineage?
I'm the baby.
Are you the
Yeah.
are you the
I'm
last
the
one?
youngest, but I'm definitely the wisest. No, maybe the most. Maybe the most traumatized.
So tell me so it's oldest brother or sister?
Yeah, brother, sister, brother, then me. Yeah.
So brother, sister. So it's 3 brothers and a sister. Like how far is the age gaps?
My oldest brother's 10 years older than me.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and then there's a little gap, and then it's my sister, and then there's a larger gap again, and then my brother Rex,
Yeah.
and there's about a 2-year gap between him and I.
What did your parents do in Richards Bay?
My father was a lawyer
Mm-hmm.
of all kinds. Couldn't quite pin it. And my mother was at a stage a teacher, but a very professional homemaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So grew up in a very tropical area with hands-on parents. Yeah.
What does that mean, hands-on?
Well, to quote Tom Waits, maybe those mama's boys just don't know when to quit. You know. So no, my family's very tight.
Yeah.
We still very close. We speak every day. So
That's
we're
amazing.
all in
And
the Cape, so it makes it easier to visit and that kind of.
But your parents are still together?
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
50 odd years.
And the 2 brothers and the sister, you guys are tight.
Yeah, we get along very well.
So when you were now a Klong and a Lighty, what was your when you got online, music-wise or creative-wise, what was your first spark? Can you remember that first song that moved you?
I'll be honest with you. When I was a little kid, and I'm talking before I even knew that I was really alive, I loved music, and my family had a kletsgat at the bottom of the house with a record player, and I used to put records on.
A kletsgat.
Yeah,
That was beautiful.
It's like a sunken lounge, you know.
Yeah.
Kletsgat.
Almost like a basement for listening to records and stuff.
Like, you know, it drops below the floor line, and then, you know, it's kind of like an entertainment area where people get to hang and chat. But hence the name Kletsgat. But so at a very young age, I used to put on records, and obviously just what my parents were listening to, you know, as a youth, and it was like Harry Belafonte.
Oh, yes.
And you know, those old songwriters, and I used to sit there and, you know, write out the lyrics because I was so enamored by what they were saying. And
So that's your first like interest.
Yeah.
Harry Belafonte.
My first interest was, you know, I had an aptitude for remembering, you know, lyrics, and then, you know, obviously you don't always get lyrics right when you just try and remember it, but I started writing these lyrics out like profusely. Everything I heard, I would play it again and write the lyrics out so that I could understand what he was saying. I had to know what they were saying. And then obviously from then, you know, you kind of move on from one thing to another. So you end up, you know, having a large family with such a big age gap between siblings. You know, you start out listening to your parents' music, and then your older brother influences you, and then your sister influences you. And
What's your oldest brother's name?
his name's Justin.
Justin.
Yeah,
And your sister's name?
Misty.
Misty. And
then
Rex.
Rex, and then
Donny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of those 3 siblings, who had the first records that what you went, okay, this person's bringing some metal, this
Yeah,
person's bringing some cave, or
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of, as a youth listened to what my parents were listening to, like Harry Belafonte, Elvis, and my dad was and is still into classical music, Rachmaninoff and the rest. And then, growing older, you find reason to gravitate towards more angry music. And, my brother was listening to Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all of that stuff. So the grunge kind of kicked in there.
How old are you now?
43.
43, okay.
Yeah.
So you are 81 baby.
82.
82.
Yeah.
Mind my math.
No, that's fine. No, my math is poor. Very, very poor.
Yeah, we basically the same age because I remember when my dad and my mom they dig Uriah Heep and Deep Purple, know, and we had like the Rocky Horror Picture Show soundtrack on vinyl, and I remember that was the first time I was like, Jesus, this song's making me feel stuff, like especially Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it's crazy how the records of your parents, then you go like, okay, well, if Deep Purple's doing this, and then a buddy of yours, like a buddy of mine, played me like AC/DC, and now I'm still a lighty, and then the grunge thing that happens, and you go like, whoa, this is a whole big shift.
Yeah, it spoke to an entire generation that was filled with angst and didn't even know what they were angry about, but this helped fuel it, But it was so I had a big influence from my parents, and then my older siblings were into the stuff that was hip at the time, and and then my brother Rex was into everything, like, so music for me started with the writing, and I mean I'm still writing.
Can you remember when you wrote your first song?
The first song I wrote, funnily enough, was an instrumental.
Okay.
But then I wrote a song called Poems from Paris when I was living in Paris, and
was that the first song you ever wrote?
That's the first song I ever wrote, and I'm still
you're still performing it. That's so badass.
Yeah.
So that's the first time you put pen to paper with
my own composition. Yeah.
And how old were you when you went to Paris?
Jeez, I must have been 20, 21.
So you never like wrote a song?
No,
I
wrote many poems, and I wrote many song type compositions, but I never put it to instrumentation, and performing came quite late to me. So I think I cut my teeth in Paris, and kind of fell onto stage by mistake, and I was with a friend of mine, Andre Geldenes, who by that time
Machinery Andre,
and now Jack Barrow Andre,
model Andre,
handsome lad,
Sunny Fox Andre,
yes,
he's a fucking cool dude.
Goes by many.
That guy is a fucking bespoke underrated guitarist.
Yeah,
he's
a
amazing.
He's a hell of a scene. No, he's very talented, and he's also stuck to his style, and he's impressive.
I just want to get a clear picture now, like, because I remember the first time hearing about Richards Bay was like in like a ex-boyfriend of my sister's gave me like a box full of zigzag mags. From the Klankeru, flipping through a zigzag mag.
Alkanstrand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I would see J-Bay and I would see R-Bay.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, R-Bay. You know, because I've been to J-Bay, but I've never been to R-Bay. So I was wondering if that little, my only frame of reference for like a surfing community is Jeffreys Bay or like Victoria Bay. But was there that kind of community?
Yeah, definitely.
And did it resonate with you, those people?
To a certain degree. I mean, you grow up, it's sun and surf and skate and, beach culture. I wasn't so much a surfer, though I was at the beach often. But, we swam under a coach for a very long time. It's very hot there, so everything you do is in the water.
And it's nice warm water because it's
warm water, yeah. It's like a bath, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like that Mozambique kind of vibe.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful part of the world, and I say often to people who ask me about it, I say it's a wonderful place to grow up, but a terrible place to grow old. You know? So,
but I think that's the case with most small towns.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Because I'm also from a small town, and it's you go there to die, or you go and visit there. Like I see my mom
Premature death.
More often because of funerals. I would phone her. I go like, how many friends you have left? You know?
Oh, shame. Yeah. Yeah, it's a real thing, that death.
So that boarding school where you went to, how was that like living in a hostel? Would you go like home on weekends?
Boarding school, you know, a lot of people, you know, had a terrible time at boarding school. I mean, boarding school was fantastic for me. It was a wonderful school, and you live with people you make friends with, and you're with them for 5 years, you know. So, and you have your meals together, and you play sport together, and you say goodnight, and you know, it's the next day you in the run of the mill again, and it's it was a very special place and a very beautiful place to for your formative years, you know. So.
Yeah, and also the thing that I picked up from Benny, because he went to Boys Eye, and
good school.
Yeah, so because I had no frame of reference, being from a small town, like I also thought that every place has got from grade 1 till grade 12, and there's 300 kids in the school. That was my frame of reference. And then when you hear a high school with 2,000 kids, you're like, what? You know, and only boys, what? Yeah. So I was so the thing that I picked up from Benny is that he's such a great like a team player, you know, and it's like hy's 'n goeie groepsdier.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of social skills, and I think that's like a development thing, like an add-on bonus with a hostel or like a boarding school.
No, quite. It's it does teach you to be part of the fray and to get involved, and you know, to be accepting and that kind of thing.
Nobody's a rock, nobody's an island.
Absolutely, and you know, it's you're in the cauldron with people your age going through the same shit, and you know, you got to make do, and you know, it's one of those make or break moments in your life. You know, like you either fit in or you fuck off.
And so you managed to fit in.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, I got through fairly unscathed. I mean, I found a fair amount of trouble, but not trouble enough to get me.
What kind of trouble did Donny do while in school? Come on, skip my anecdote there.
It was generally just gutter kwaad, you know. But,
shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's fairly, you know, some schools of a similar ilk are quite regimental, and you know, you got to fall in line. There's parameters and there's rules that you have to adhere to, and it's not. It's not like military school, but it's fairly close in terms of
discipline and stuff. Yeah,
in terms of staying in line, and you know, they offer you a lot of stuff. You know, so you know, if you play the game, it opens a lot of doors for you.
What kind of doors opened for you?
I haven't used any of those doors really. I've always
had a few open ones, but didn't walk through them.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't like people telling me what to do. So I've always tried to be the master of my own ship, and you know, to a certain degree, it's worked. But like most people in the arts, it's feast or famine. You know.
Yeah.
Unless you drink the Kool-Aid, and you know.
So did when you were in high school, like creative writing languages is obviously a strong point with your aptitude, you know. And I remember also having like my Afrikaans teacher was married to my English teacher. So so Judith Dekker and Edward Dekker, they were like fully Afrikaans and English.
Okay.
I think she was the only English-speaking lady in the town, actually. Yeah. And the classes were next to each other.
Is what you say.
And they were my favorite teachers. So that's the reason why I am into languages. And And I was wondering if you had a teacher that actually supported you or pushed you.
So my father was a fairly academic man.
Is it?
And my mother was a little bit more free thinking. Well, they're both free thinking. I mean, I say that quite lightly, but at school I had a very strong English master that introduced me to a lot of interesting literature at a fairly young age, which at the time I didn't really grasp. But
like what?
He introduced me to the beatniks at a fairly young age, and from there I did my own rabbit holing, and I mean in the 90s you rabbit hole by going to the library, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
I kind of, I also did drama at school, so
that's cool.
There was a big connection between the literature that he was feeding me and the older peers that I had, and my brother Rex was really good at drama, and he was in a production of Romeo and Juliet where he played Romeo, he played Hamlet in Hamlet, and so my the trajectory for me was following my older brother.
Yeah.
And then I found my own way through that literature.
Okay, so Rex was also like a
very big
portal for you. Yeah.
Very big influence.
Oh wow!
And,
so would you remember him like reciting and rehearsing at home?
Absolutely, yeah.
Standing in front of the mirror, like going through his lines.
100%, yeah.
Amazing.
And, yeah. So, like I said, I had that English teacher. His name was Mr. Lovell. He was a brilliant
Mr. Lovell.
Lovell, yeah. He was a brilliant man, and he kind of blew my mind with the stuff that he was giving me and the kids that had an aptitude for creativity, so and then I rabbit holed, and I became aware of poets and lyricists that were breaking the mold, because poetry was always fairly academic, and then the beatniks kind of broke that, and you had a fair amount of like the Marquis de Sades and those guys that were very anti-establishment and
Marquis de Sade, the historical porno.
Yeah,
the medieval
the archaic perv. Yeah. So those kinds of things really opened my mind, and I wasn't a great academic, though I had aptitude for certain things.
Yeah.
So it was an eye opener for me to see people who could write but weren't academic, and then I forged my own way from there. I'd been writing poetry since I was a kiddie,
yeah,
and it kind of gravitated into music later in life. But I always, I was always a writer first, and I still maintain that I write first and make music after, so yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering, when you spoke about the beatniks, like breaking that mold, where there's like you get like this tradition, and then you get people who change shit up. You know? And the same with Afrikaans poets, so you have the dertigers, like Opperman and Pieter van Wyk Lou, and everything is Toosjes, Boerneef. Okay? And then all of a sudden Breitenbach comes along with Ankie Krog and Adam Small and Judith Jonker and Andre P. Brink, and they go like, hey, you know what, fuck this noise.
Yeah, they had a little bit more to say.
Mag jy sliewe eende op my grafkak, I'm gonna now fucking put the middle finger to the Nasionale Party, go fuck yourself,
They had a little bit more on their mind, a little bit more to say.
And then they break that mold. So you were from a young age quite aware of that, because of the beatniks. They like the fucking punk rockers who also like broke a tradition.
It was a whole movement. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I fell in love with them at a too young an age, and they kind of forged a path for me in terms of what I fell in love with and that kind of thing. But there's a lot more than the beatniks out there to blow your mind. But it was definitely struck a chord with me. Because they had stuff to say, and they said it differently, and they kind of got under the skin of a lot of people, and which isn't necessarily what I do with my poetry and writing. I don't try and get under people's skin, but I do like to see the language flex.
Exactly. That's fascinating, because flexing of language, for me, the most fun you can have with language is to be in that state of play. And
Yeah.
so when you started writing in school, and you would see like and typography is also not typography, almost like leestekens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Typography is the writing typography. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like somebody like Gert Vloknel, like when you would say daar was 'n dam op die plaas, and then he would write with an I.
Yeah. Okay.
It's almost like archaic and
Yeah,
childlike, you know.
Yeah.
And they kept it like that.
Yeah.
Because there's some kind of innocence in that, you know. So
Yeah.
so did you also like play around with the
Yeah, I still do in a way. You know, I like to mix, you know, old English with modern English. So yeah, I mean, poetic license, right? So you can do as you please. It's an art form, and you know, it doesn't really have to make sense to the masses. You know, you write for yourself first, and then like-minded spirits kind of jump on the train if they're into it. You know, so yeah.
when you were at school, what did you figure you were going to do after school? What was your aspirations?
I always thought I would have been in sport.
I think between you and Benny and Pedri, I think you guys are the most knowledgeable rugby buddies that I have. Especially you. You surprise me every time when we talk rugby. I'm like, yeah, listen to you, Donny.
Yeah.
You should go sit there with Nick and with fucking Ashwin and with the cats. You know,
Ashwin up and left.
I know.
So there's a
So
gap.
like I said last week, Nick, Ashwin is not pleased anymore. So, but coming back to so you were very into sports.
Yeah, I was into sport. You know, we grew up playing a lot of sport. My father was very active, and we used to see him play squash and cricket and the like. I took to swimming, water polo, and rugby, and I fell in love with rugby. And I played at a fairly high level at school. And
What position did you play?
10.
10, yeah. Fucking look at you, Sasha Feinberg and Kimazulu.
He's a special player.
Oh, he's amazing.
But yeah, I always
So
thought
you were fucking law skakel.
Yeah, I always thought I'd be in sport. But yeah, you know, eventually you realize that, you know, your physical makeup isn't like those that stand out. Eventually, I could play, but you know, the knocks just got harder and harder and bigger, you know. So, and then I copped an injury that put me out for a while, and in that time I traveled abroad and found the arts and
Okay, so when you finished school, you basically just went overseas.
yeah, I hit the road running.
Like just after matric. So you went to Europe.
Father asked me, are you gonna waste my money if you go to Stellenbosch? And I was like, yeah. I said, yeah, I'll waste your money. He said, well, good luck. And I mean, I was lucky enough to get I got a TV commercial acting gig. I did drama at school, so you know, I kind of lucked out with an acting gig that paid me enough money to go abroad and explore. You know,
What was that gig?
Jeez, I can't remember. It was a TV commercial, an overseas company shooting in Cape Town, and I was brand new in Cape Town, so basically, you know, went from Richards Bay to the bright city lights of Europe. You know,
Was that the same time, like when you finished school?
I was about 19, 20 years old.
When did your parents move to Cape Town? Or when did you guys move here as a family?
2000, I think we put our roots down here, yeah. So
Okay, and what year did you matriculate?
2000.
2000. Okay, so it was right after matric you moved to Cape Town.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, I finished school and got into the combi and we drove to the Cape, yeah.
Fucking crazy.
And then got a modeling gig, like an acting modeling gig and a TV commercial, and then paid me enough to travel. And then,
fuck, that's cool.
And then I, you know, found out very quickly that it wasn't for me, the whole TV commercial acting thing. And
Why not?
I don't know. It's it affords you a lot. You get to see the world, and it's great for that. But I think if you don't have a set out path, or you don't have an idea of what you want to do, it can get quite cumbersome. You know, you have to.
Yeah, it becomes like a flash in the pan thing, but you're not.
Yeah.
It's almost like a stepping stone, but towards what?
It's too good too quickly. You know, and yeah, some people can get lost in that kind of thing. And I was lucky enough that, you know, I'd always loved writing and I'd always loved music. And I look, I didn't see myself on stage. Like I said earlier, I kind of lucked into a show And so by the time I was like 23, 24, 25, round about there, I started looking for a way out. And,
So you actually did that for a few years. So okay, you moved to Cape Town, and then you got that gig,
the acting gig,
gig, and that actually gave you some money to go and travel.
Totally, yeah.
And then what was your first destination? You went to France.
I was in Italy, and then soon after France. Yeah.
Well, what compelled you to go there?
I think the gig that I got was an Italian company, so I figured if they're willing to give me money, then I must go to them too, So, and then I got to travel a bit. I mean, I ended up in Tokyo, Japan for a while, and
that's such a stretch. Okay, so
you kind of follow the scene. You follow the season, and I got a contract. In Tokyo, and
were you signed like at an agency?
I was with an agent, so signed a contract, and then I went to Tokyo and fooled around for a couple of months, and then
what is fascinating for me is to do like advertising or it's almost like you're a model basically.
So the TV commercial acting thing is just like a glorification of the modeling industry,
but I would love
brands and stuff.
But I would love to know like the kind of ads that you did.
Jeez,
like the Italian one. Like what was the product?
It was the United Colors of Benetton. I remember now. Yeah,
the United Colors of Benetton is
I actually did it. I actually did it with my brother Rex.
No way.
He's like a blonde version of me, and the whole thing is like contrast with him. So. It was that was the first gig, and then.
But what is Benetton? Is that like
it's a clothing brand, I think, or like
because they had didn't Benetton have an F1 team?
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't know, but I don't think they're affiliated. Yeah, it's such a long time ago, man. Yeah. I was 19 or 20 years old, and I'm 40 odd now. So
and the gig that you did in Tokyo, like what was the?
I went out there on a contract, and then obviously they find you work when you're there. And I did a whole bunch of those funny Japanese TV commercials and shouted out some phrases in Japanese and jumped around like a mad thing. I did a lot of beer work there, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was on the cover of a magazine drinking 2 pints at once.
Crazy.
That was my favorite gig.
That's fascinating.
I went back. I went back to Japan and Tokyo for 3 years. I loved it so much that I made sure that they renewed my contract, and I went back. And funnily enough, met my mentor in Japan.
Who's your mentor?
His name's Jeremy Barrois, French filmmaker, artist, poet. Genius, and he kind of like slapped me around and said you should be making art, and he had an atelier in Paris, and I was in Japan, and he said you should go do your thing like in a hub, and I was like, yeah, but he was like, no, just go, I've got an atelier, you can stay for free.
Like a atelier, like a studio.
And I stayed for free, and plugged myself into the scene there, and writing prolifically and performing. I played in Paris for a while.
At that stage, you were already like playing guitar.
Well, I mean, in Paris, I started putting songs together. Hence the first song being Poems from Paris.
Yeah. So were you part of like a collective? It's almost like a beatnik crowd of other like-minded people. I mean, what does that hub look like if you plug into? Are the people from all over the world, or are most of them French?
Yeah, a lot of French guys making music, and getting on stage wise. They opened a few doors, Jeremy especially, and Paris is very artsy and gothic, and got a beautiful history. So you kind of, if you're in the arts, it's impossible not to be immersed in it, So
you would see bands there. I remember staying next to Notre Dame and for a week, and then you would see like bands busking. That's like they would play somebody like Mumford Sons, like out of their careers. You
Yeah.
would see so much talent there. The busking scene freaked me out
Yeah.
in Europe. There's people in the tube playing stuff better than David Gilmour.
Totally.
You
Yeah,
know?
no, it's definitely, it's big cities lend itself to that, you know. Yeah, we busked in Paris a lot, in New York. Yeah, I mean, busking was how I kind of honed my skill.
Is it? So you also bust.
Yeah.
What was the biggest tip you ever got?
I got a $50 tip in Union Square.
No
in New
way.
York, yeah.
Fuck that. Well, that's a meal sorted for 2 or 3 days.
beers set. Yeah. But yeah, it's I think, you know, with any kind of arts, you have to be immersed in it and see the hardship in it before you can kind of break away and do your own thing, you know.
So how long did you live in Paris?
For the better half of a year the first time I went, and then I went for like 9-10 months, and then I went back one more time after that. It's such a long time ago, but when I travel I like to stay.
Yeah.
I don't like to move around too much.
And how cool was that studio? Was it the atelier? Was it like
Yeah,
quite central in Paris?
So he had like a photographic area where he developed his pictures and stuff, and then he had like a ladder up to where he slept if he was working late, and that's where I slept for.
Oh, that's
basically,
fucking cool, man.
Just lived there, wrote poetry, made music. Yeah, hung out with André Geldenhuys a lot.
So is that where you connected with him?
Yeah.
Did you connect with him in Paris?
No. I knew him from Cape
Okay.
Town, but you know, we traveled together. You know, he popped in and out of my life a hell of a lot, and he's still in my life.
Yeah.
We hang out all the time. We're very, very close. He was my first band, you know. So and my first show I ever played in Paris was with André, was my lead guitar player. Yeah.
Okay, and what was that band's name?
It was called Riviera.
Riviera.
Yeah.
Fucking cool.
Yeah.
And how did that come about? So but because he's also a model.
He was, yeah. He did fairly well. Yeah, he's but you know, musically just on another level, you know. So he brought such a cool element to my basic, you know, songwriting and, you know, storytelling kind of stuff, you know.
The interesting thing about you on the music front is I know 2 other cats that plays like you. Like you're
Upside Down.
upside down, like, so you're a lefty and your bottom E is literally
The
on
bottom.
the bottom.
Yeah, the bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
It's upside down. I
It's
play
upside down, yeah. So when did you start playing guitar? Because it was it in school? Or was
No,
it
I never played music in school. Like I said, I was in drama, so my understanding of, you know, stage and that kind of stuff was honed through that.
Yeah.
But music came late to me, and, you know, having spent so much time with Andre in South Africa and abroad, you know, he always had a guitar, he's a right-hander.
Yeah, you guys must met in Cape Town. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and we lived together in Cape Town and in Paris and in Italy, and, you know, and he always had a guitar with him, and then, you know, I started picking up the guitar and putting what I'd written to sound, and yeah, he was a right-hander, so I just taught myself to play upside down.
That's a fascinating technique, and Rainer Velvet also plays like that. You know, and it always freaks me out to check the upstrokes that you guys do.
Yeah.
Because that's literally learning guitar in reverse.
Yeah, it's funny how that kicked in, because I wasn't even really aware of how I should be playing it, like what strokes go where, you know, but it just naturally went that way through sound. Like your ears pick up what sounds right and what sounds like it should be going that way, you know. So I never really, I've never had a music lesson in my life, and you know,
I don't even think there's tabs out there for you guys, you know.
I've got a bar tab that's outstanding, but that's about the only tabs I know.
I only know bar chord. You know?
Yeah. As long as it sounds fucking cool.
Yeah, but so the thing with your poetry, like as you write, there's a like while you were writing your poetry and before you were like performing it with musical accompaniment, like did you ever do like recitals where you would stand and perform your poetry? Was that a thing that you did before you started using musical accompaniment?
Yeah, so, I still perform poetry. I'm often on stage without musical accompaniment.
Yeah.
And I think my first bite of it was at school. I wrote a poem for the first team rugby. And,
what a mashup.
I was, and I was a kid, man. Like I think it was in my first year that I wrote that. And the first team captain read it out in assembly. And I was like, oh.
Fuck, I would love to hear that poem.
It must exist somewhere.
So it's a poem about rugby.
It's a poem about the history of rugby in the school and that kind of stuff, and being obsessed with rugby like I still am. It was I mean I was sitting in assembly and they read it out and I was like, that's my shit.
Yeah.
So that was
like your first airplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was for me. It was okay. So this stuff can hold audience, So
yeah.
And then from there, I kind of I kept writing. I kept journals religiously from the age of like 12, 11 years old. I wrote journals, and I still have the majority of those books with me. And it's interesting to go back and sometimes cringe and sometimes think, wow, that's pretty profound for a 13-year-old.
It's a time capsule. The other day I was doing a songwriting exercise, and I also grabbed like an old one that's like 20 years old, just like after school. Yeah. And I actually found like 2 or 3 lines. I was like, this line is sitting still.
Gold,
it's like it didn't date. I'm not cringing, and it fits in perfectly into the song. So it's great. I think for any writer, any creative, keeping journal, just getting into that. And it doesn't always have to be a fucking masterpiece. Just to scribbling down just gets that state of play juices flowing. That's subconscious coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to give audience to your subconscious and the quiet voice.
Yeah, but a fascinating thing about your poems is like you draw quite from like this old register.
Yeah, I think it's largely to do with the drama influence, theatre, thespian kind of old English Shakespeare stuff that you get drummed in.
Yeah, I was wondering from what period is that thing that still resonates with you?
Yeah, so I'm gravitating more towards Shakespeare and Chaucer again, but like I said, I kind of mix, New Age English and the old English quite a lot, and sometimes stuff that I work on is purely of that era.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time I try and give it a now feel.
Yeah. When I would like read some of your poetry, like when you put something on Instagram, the old timey English.
Yeah.
It's quite eclectic against like this modern digital publishing platform.
Totally, yeah.
So do you get something out of that to keep that vernacular, putting like a new jacket on that, you know?
I guess, I love to write, so whatever platform, and I don't publish everything, like the stuff that I like, but
you're quite fucking industrious, you put stuff out there a lot.
I write a lot, I try and write every day for at least 2 hours, whether it's worth anything or not. I try and do it anyway, and sometimes that divine spark hits and you go with it, and you feel compelled to kind of put it out for those people who are into it, and putting it on a digital platform when it's so old-timey is quite fun in contrast.
So, I was when I messaged you last week, you said that today when you're coming for the chat, that you've got a meeting with a publisher at 1 o'clock, and you've got a collection coming out.
Yeah, I've got a book coming out.
A book about words.
Yeah, the bundle is called A Written Book of Words.
A Written Book of Words.
Yeah, which is something I wrote. Like, that title has always been with me, because I've always wanted to put out work.
Yeah.
tangible work that you can hold and have in your home library or whatever. So a written book of words was a title I've had since my late teens, early 20s. And I think it's there's something about the face value of it that I like, because when you open the book, you can see it's more than just a written book of words. There's actually something that's being said.
Is it a collection of poetry?
Yeah, there'll be 50 pieces in this book. Yeah,
because you are so you write a lot, and when you put stuff out on social media, or when you perform some of the stuff with your songs with Taleswapper, are some of those poems that's coming out in this book now, are some of them that you kept for yourself, or have some of them seen the light?
Yeah, a lot of them haven't seen the light, and a lot of them have been online or in the odd publication here and there, but a lot of it is, I've dug up from when I was a lot younger, re-edited it and made it fit the family of pieces that I'm putting together. A lot of them are my songs that used to be poems. So, for instance, Poems from Paris is in there, and it'll probably be, that song will probably be with me forever. Yeah. But it's in its original form before it became a song.
Yeah. Before you adapted it.
Yeah. So a lot of them are the inspiration behind songs that,
So, and I wanted to ask you, because I remember the first time that I heard about you, it was when I was in working in Rolling Stone, and then you get aware of the Cape Town scene, Rian Zietsman and George van der Spey,
sure.
and all those Kloof Street Cats and Taxi Violence. I'm basically just telling you about Taxi Violence, but obviously Inge Beckman, Lark, and I think you guys were together, and didn't you guys collaborate together as well?
Yeah, Inge and I were together for some time. Very creative girl.
I had her on the podcast
Highly
years
talented,
ago.
yeah.
Fascinating artist and a great songwriter.
Yeah, one of a kind. Yeah.
When you guys collaborated together, so was that after you met Andre?
Yeah. No, Andre has been there since the inception. Yeah. Andre was the first guitarist that I made music with, and Inge was there for a while too. We made some really cool stuff together.
Yeah.
We actually we got through a lot of work together.
Yeah.
She was there at the start of Taleswapper when things gravitated from Riviera into my own stuff. Yeah.
So with Riviera, did you guys ever put out an album or an EP?
No, we played live. That's how people heard us, and that's how people saw us. We played a lot in Paris. Yeah. So we did the scene in Paris, and I mean I'd played more shows in Europe than I had in South Africa.
Really?
Yeah, and then came back to South Africa and kind of started all over again, and it gravitated to Taleswapper, which was more poetically based stuff, heavy lyrically driven.
Taleswapper is almost like your stage, and that's your project, that's your brainchild.
Yeah.
The Taleswapper name it's got this kind of beatnik thing, like swapping tales.
Sure,
it's got this back and forth kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of all the collaborators you spoke about, it's like Andre and Inge. What's the thing that you learned that you're still using up until this day, that you learned from Andre, and then you can say the same thing from with Inge?
Yeah, Andre Geldenhuys, I mean, he's, as you know, a very, very special guitar player. He's so out there. His brain and his guitar is the wildest thing I've ever come across. And he doesn't stick to parameters. He's wildly free thinking, not only with guitar but in general, and he had a big influence on me in terms of not seeing boundaries and that kind of thing, which kind of helped me believe that what I was writing could transform into a musical presentation. So Andre kind of broke the the boundaries for me in terms of free thinking and art in general.
And Inge?
So Inge was an incredible performer, or is an incredible performer, and her stage presence was also a big learning curve. you know, for me to see somebody who completely commands the stage and demands a silence, you know. So, and I felt like, you know, what I was doing was so niche that I had to, you know, build around the persona of this poet or this Taleswapper in order to garner that silence, so that what I was doing and what I was saying was heard, you know.
Yeah.
Playing smaller venues, finding a following.
More intimate spaces, you know, where people is actually, because I remember when we went to go check out that in was it in Woodstock in town, when you did that exhibition where you got a bunch of artists or that basically interpreted your poems, and those art pieces were on sale, and you and Jock with Taleswapper, you did this performance and sitting like up front and personal.
We like to be on
it sucks you in, you know. It's it's like almost like a tension.
Yeah, so we like to be on the same level as the audience, like see eye to eye with them in terms of, you know, instead of us being elevated on stage, we like to like speak directly to the people there. And
you guys were elevated on the rooftop for my 40th.
Yes.
How fucking cool was that?
Yeah, that was cool.
Until somebody threw rocks.
Yeah.
Remember that encounter?
I remember that, yeah.
Me, you, Aubrey, Pedri,
yeah.
Went to go and full on confront
I
neighbor.
remember that. And it wasn't even them.
And I totally thought this guy is like pretending he's in denial about it. I really thought it was
straight
him.
up liar.
Yeah,
you know,
and it wasn't him.
Shame.
Yeah,
innocent until proven guilty of
exactly.
chucking rocks at a performance.
Yeah.
No, that was cool. That show was great until you know, the neighbors.
Well, it was rock and roll, man.
You know, until the neighbors wanted to go to bed.
That was a fucking awesome party, but also insanely intimate, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big charm with your band. That's why something like a Balboa setting, or even like when you guys did the one at Old Town, where like people are sitting as far as you sitting from me now, and when you see Jock also doing that multi-instrumental soundscaping, you know, and you see him like playing that saw, and you see him playing the lap steel, you know. It's
you feel like you're part of it. Yeah. That's the idea, you know. And it's half the reason we prefer to play smaller venues, is because, you know, it resonates a little bit better, because it's so intimate, and because what's being said is just that a little bit more concentration is needed, you know. So, you know, all music is you know, an art form, but what we do is we kind of need people to listen, because it's what Shark's doing is so interesting, and because it's so heavily lyrically driven.
So the first instance of Taleswapper was basically you with your guitar.
A lot of it, you know, when I started, you know, performing on my own, was just spoken word and you know, guitar and then some songs too, and then now we incorporate everything. You know, we've got like the really down home kind of like singer-songwriter stuff, and we open the show with a poem, and you know, Jacques creates these universes around the spoken word stuff. So we like to start with a poem and make it long-winded, so that people know that what they're sitting down for isn't the norm. You know, it's like, okay, fuck, I've actually come to see a performance, not just cats sitting down and
exactly
and needling and noodling.
You know, but there's some like abrupt endings, and some of the stuff is very theatrical and dramatic,
absolutely.
and sometimes you get like sucked into a little bit of a void.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and
that's the idea. The idea is to break the mind a little bit, and, you know, convert those that have that inkling towards it, just to go, okay, well, I'm here now, and this is happening, you know.
So when you write, like, what kind of voice do you hear in your mind? Because there's a big performative part of your writing. So when you write, are you thinking about performance, or are you thinking about like a on paper?
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, there's definitely a character that takes over.
Who's this character?
I still don't know. Who he is, but you know, writing, and especially something that I write and that I enjoy the finished product of, like, it's something something else takes over. I don't feel like it's me. I kind of go into this little world.
You detach yourself a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost an alien feeling. Like some of the stuff I write, I go, geez, I don't know where that came from, and the subject matter in particular, I don't know why am I writing about this, you know. So there is this alien influence that comes with it. But when I write, I allow myself to let go of like my self-awareness. I allow myself to leave my body when it's happening, and then I edit when I come back to earth, you know. So yeah, I guess Taleswapper and, you know, myself, the line is pretty blurred now after all these years. But at the same time, you know, the character in my head that's writing this stuff is its own entity.
But do you feel you have to detach yourself not to get involved? Do you get more out of it? Because usually a conundrum for myself as well, where I remember writing songs that I've recorded where they're quite personal to me, and I got bored about I got totally just bored about my own shit, you know.
Okay, yeah.
And what made me excited again was writing something where I don't know where the fuck it comes from, and it doesn't, and there's no pressure that it's about me. So I don't have to go psychoanalyze the thing, where I can just play around with characters and with a little bit of a narrative or a story, or being clever or quirky, or with wordplay, finding something where you go, fuck, that's actually quite a line, you know, a little bit of amusing. So is there a part of yourself when you write where you go, I'd rather detach? Because
definitely. I think it's important to have a clear cut difference between your own self and the persona on stage.
Yeah.
I think it's two different worlds. I mean, you can't spend your life on stage, right? So it's you know, Kurt Cobain famously said if he had his way, he would just sleep and wake up and perform, and go to bed and wake up and perform. And that's not the healthiest thing in the world, you know. You still need to be present. But I do think that there should, especially if you've got, you know, theatrical work and stuff, that to create a persona for stage it's important to have that distinct difference.
So when Jock joined, because you were doing it solo, did you feel the need to expand, or was that meeting of minds very like organic?
It was very organic. But Jock and I were drinking buddies before we made music together. We met through Inga. Jock was working with Inga at the time.
I want to tell you a cool story on that. I remember the first time that I hanged with Jock also was at a Taleswapper, and I think we went to the car to smoke a joint or something like that. In those years when we still did that.
Speak for yourself.
And he said, yeah man, luister gou hierso. So Inge Beckman was net in die studio, and then he played me 2 recordings where she covered Danny Boy, and the other one was where I think they did Yankee. Like Anton Goosen, hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah.
And I remember stealing that, because he was like, I was like, can I have that? He's like, no, and I stole that from him. Okay, and I kept
the physical thing or actually doing it on stage?
No. Like I stole the CD.
Yeah.
Okay,
good for you.
And years later, and I would usually like play it to people and go like, this is fucking Parlemoen music. You know, nobody knows I've got this. You know, I should not have this. It's like fucking under the radar. You know, don't tell anybody.
Priceless.
And years later, I told Jock about it. And he was like, oh, fuck, I'm so glad you have it because I lost that on a hard drive, you know. And I sent it to Inga. She was like, fuck, she was looking for this like for
Losing
years.
is very different to it being stolen, you know?
But the thing was that was like one mix, and then they were supposed to do something with it. And I was the last guy with one of those recordings. So that was also like my like love for Jock, because he's such a no fuss music.
Yeah, he's an incredible talent.
He just breathes it.
Yeah,
you know. And so you guys
he's
drank together.
Yeah,
he is a fucking savant.
Yeah.
He's a full-on savant.
He's a special individual, and I maintain I've worked with many people in my life. Some who have found much success, and Jacques Duplessis is by far the most talented person I've ever come across in my life, by leaps and bounds.
Did you know that the SAW Association of South Africa contacted him? There's only, there were 19 people. Okay, there's 19 people in South Africa who play the SAW.
They're probably all 17.
Now they're 20. So Jacques the final member.
Okay.
Like they found like the Sasha Feinberg and Kamazulu of the fucking SAW, and he's part of that association now. Can you believe it?
Amazing, yeah. No, he deserves it. He should be captain.
So
he should be the Siya Kolisi of the
exactly. No, he should be the head captain. Okay, luister hier
He should be the
vandag.
Rassie.
Vandag gaan ons chainsaws doen. So we're going metal. So when you guys started working together, how did that like expand your way of thinking and writing? Because obviously that brought something totally different to the table.
Yeah, Jacques and I are into a lot of the same music, but Jacques fell in so naturally, and I've never had to coach him into anything regarding my music. We never rehearse, and yes, we know the song so well, but every time it's different. Every time he brings a different element, and his voice and my voice just they click. And Jacques is the sort of person that you don't have to tell what you foresee for.
He's so intuitive.
He's so intuitive, and musically he's just on a level that's like it's beyond human. He most of the time.
He is the most profound multi-instrumentalist that I know of. You know,
he's very special, not only on stage but off stage too. He's one of those people that stand out without even trying. He's got a certain presence that runs through his whole biochemical makeup, and
that guy's like a biological. And I don't want to blow too much smoke up his fucking ass. But the thing is, when I was on the lowest of my low, that guy would go, "Hey, bro, so but you go he's just there."
Yeah.
Like I remember, I had to go to a fucking funeral.
Yeah.
Worst gig, like playing funerals are cuck gigs. My best friend.
I've done them. They are tough.
I've done about 5 of them.
Oh wow.
My dad's included,
okay.
and best friends, and at the third one, I told the I almost said audience. I told the people at the wake. I was like, listen, if you're not going to applaud the song, I'm going to make a fucking senior.
Yeah.
Because there's already a cuck gig.
Yeah, no, it is. Excuse me. It's it's a tough thing to play, but yeah, it's but the people that ask you to play at those things, you're doing it, for a reason, and you must adhere.
But then I didn't have a lift to the one because my wife at the time did the car, and I couldn't. And Joe was like, "Fuddy Jimny." He's like, he would like give me his car, go to the funeral.
Yeah.
Or like a moving house, he would go like, let's let me help you
in the van.
He's that guy.
Yeah, no, he is that guy, and he's that guy musically too. He without Jacques, I'm just a bunch of words and a mediocre guitar player, but he kind of brings something out in me, and I love being on stage with him. I love being around him. He's a very special player and a very special human being, and he deserves all the success in the world.
The Taleswapper stuff, that because you guys have got like a few videos on YouTube, but the debut album was like 2016, 17.
Yeah, it was a small little album. A lot of it's dated now in terms of what we can do and how we perform, but I think.
But there's not like a fucking Donny and Jacques Taleswapper album.
No. And people have to come see us live if they want to get it.
Is that a conscious decision?
Yeah, it's semi-conscious. It's the older I get, the more I feel like I should put out something tangible like that. There is stuff online on Spotify, and there's some really nice stuff on SoundCloud. One-off songs that we've never performed again, that simply just happened, and we recorded it and it was perfect as it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think half the appeal of what we do is to come and see us live and see it in its rawest
Oh,
form.
fuck off, Donny. Come on. We want that fucking Taleswapper album. Because
Okay,
I think... Thank you. You heard it here. You guys heard it here first. Smash that like and subscribe button. I just organized you guys a fucking Taleswapper album. Because it is fascinating what you guys do on stage. I mean, you can even do a fucking live album. Just press record. Because I think a lot of the juju is in that tension in the room.
Totally.
And I think to go and manufacture that in the studio, may especially with an act like yours, because it's a very unique act. I think if you wanted to go and duplicate it, yes, you guys you're gonna have a ball and it's gonna be fucking amazing. But also just hit record.
So we've got live recordings. We've got one from Daisy Jones. We've got one from Armchair Theatre. We've got so many live recordings. We just the people that record it just never give it to us. So I think they're waiting for.
Listen,
that
if you press record and you've got some of that stuff, send an email to williamwelfare@gmail.com so you can get that stuff out. Because your shows are fascinating, and the cool thing about seeing Jock also with you, it's so much different than when he would perform with Cat and the Jackal, or even with like how he would
beast.
be another beat, so like Inge Beckman's band. No, I'm joking.
I realized that as I said it.
It's not just like Jock is not the same when he performs with Gertjie and when he performs with you. It's totally different. And I was wondering because he's such a fucking partner in crime, such a collaborator and such a friend, and he's got a very special bond with somebody like Gertjie, and he's got a very special bond with you. And I was always wondering if there's like a vibe where Gertjie's like, listen, Donny, I want my Jock back, or Donny going, fuck this Gertjie vibe,
No, he's always been very generous with Jock. It's a pity that Mr. Cat aren't on stage as much as they used to be. A fantastic group, and obviously very, very inspirational and very artsy and theatrical at the same time. Really resonated with me. Jacques and Gert are wonderful together, and I hope they make music forever. They do have a great bond.
Do you step out of each other's way sometimes? Because
Definitely. Like, I mean, Jacques and Gert with Mr. Cat, that's them. I mean, I've been on stage with them, and I've opened for them, but Gert played with Taleswapper for about a year or two. He brought a great element. We played a few festivals with him on accordion, and he himself can play many things too.
So, he's fascinating.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude, and he's very poetic, and he's true to his craft.
A crazy collaboration, if I'm thinking about Taleswapper, was the one you guys did with Hebels. That was a great track.
Yeah, so that was Fred Den Hartog and I. We were hanging out, getting drunk at his studio when he was still in Cape Town, and it was during COVID time, so we had a little lockdown party, and he said he's got this chord progression that he thinks I'd be good for, and then we banged it out there and then. It's If You Love Somebody. Yeah, that's a cool song. I've worked with Fred a couple of times, and the guys from the Afrikaans industry like Jack Parra and those guys. A fair amount now. And
how would a Taleswapper and Jack Parra collaboration look like?
It's on SoundCloud.
Really? What track is that?
Jack Parra and I did a song of mine called Crow Song.
Oh yes.
Where he does this dark English rap, like, to close the song out. It was quite fun. Fred, myself, and Jack Parra did that. Yeah.
In Taleswapper, like you said, like Gertjie Jold, some stuff together, and obviously
and Andre Geldenhuys and JC Visser was on bass.
JC, yes.
Yeah. Jackie actually stepped away from the instruments and went to the drums. Andre was enough on guitar, and so we did a few shows with like a 4-piece.
Do you like it like that? Because you can perform on your own now.
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy a bigger sound.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the music industry being what it is, it's hard to pay 4 people. You know, so,
I will ask you me.
So yeah, it kind of like it's now always a duo, but some people jump on every now and then and make it a little bit fuller. We played with Emil Swegers, jumped on once.
Emil Swegers, wat eintlik is vir die tuindwerk is, hè?
Yeah, he's a hell of a talent.
He's a great player.
Yeah, he jumped on one of our songs at Balboa, well, maybe 2 songs, and yeah, he rips, man.
Yeah, he's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's another thing I wanted to ask you, because I think another thing that we have in common is we're both divorced and we've got kids.
Yeah, I got one. Yeah.
Well, I've got one, and you've got one, and together they're plural.
We have kids. Yeah.
So how old is your daughter?
Yeah, Sloane. She's 6.
6.
Yeah, going on 16.
Yeah.
6
going on 16.
Yeah, she's a whole lot of sass. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
This is the weirdest thing. Like my light is 10. Andre, like he has, when he was like 3 or 4, 5. He saw a daytime show of just me and Gertz doing like an acoustic thing at a festival thing at Rebecca Steele, where it was like family friendly. Most of the gigs are usually fucking late, so you couldn't attend. And then we played a Boxing Day gig, and it was like a year ago. And that was the first time he saw like fucking Uncle Benny,
cool,
and Gertz and Kyle.
It's good for them, yeah.
And it was, I think it was the correct age for seeing like a heavy rock set, in the daytime. And it was such a profound moment for me, seeing my clone checking out the band, you know. So I was wondering if
Sloane's been to a whole host of sound checks.
Is it?
She's been to 2 of my shows.
Is it? And what kind of notes would you get from her?
I get a "well done, Daddy" afterwards. Yeah, she's very cute. She's seen me on stage a lot. At my last exhibition, the Vision and Verse exhibition, you know, I was making a speech and she kind of like ran up on stage and like held onto my leg. And,
that's cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. It's it's disarming. Yeah, it's I like for her to see me perform. I like for her to know that her father's in the arts, and she has an aptitude for music. She sings and loves instruments and sings all the time. My girlfriend Olivia bought her a karaoke machine.
Oh wow!
And she doesn't put it down. She travels with it. So when she goes anywhere,
we should take it to Rufio's. You know, right up his alley.
Takes this goddamn fucking wonderful present with her everywhere she goes. You know, like whips out the microphones, gives it to someone, and it says, you know. So she loves to sing, and you know. My niece Emily is a very talented singer and pianist, and she performed at a wedding not so long ago, and my daughter ran up and went and sat on her lap while she was playing. So she wants to be on stage, and she wants to feel like she can do that kind of thing.
And does Rex and what's your older brother's name? Justin, and your sister's name
Misty.
is Misty. Do they have kids? Does she have cousins?
Yeah. She's got my brother Justin has 2, and my sister's got 2. And then Rex doesn't have any kids. He's married to his work. And and then Sloane, she's got cousins and uncles and aunts coming out of her ears, you know. So and they're great with her, and they all are creative and, you know, free thinking people. So I think she's got the right backing.
I think that all these other rockers that I interview don't know who doesn't have kids. It's like before doing something like what we're doing today, we have to. It's quite an orchestration logistics, you know. Just to like a sound check becomes very apparent and different when you've got kids.
Totally,
you know. And doing stuff like this, you have to make sure your lifts are organized, who's dropping off, what time. You know, it's a crazy structure that you have to adapt to. So, but by the sound of it, like when I talked to Tara and Jacques, they say that you quite on it, you know. When it comes to that.
I'm a very hands-on dad. I love walking her to school. Her mother lives close to the school, so I arrive there in the morning, and then I prep her for school, and then walk her to school. It's my favorite part of the day. Know? And then walk home, and I try and be there for everything she does.
Yeah.
She recently swam a gala and she won the backstroke.
Oh,
So,
wow.
very proud dad.
Congrats.
You know? Olympics how we come. You know? Yeah.
I was wondering, because of me being divorced now, I can feel like some of the songs subconsciously, some of that stuff comes out.
Yeah.
Although I'm not consciously writing about it, because I don't want to report back into a song or
Yeah.
relive it, you know. But upon re-listening to some of the
Yeah,
stuff, then I go like, oh, okay.
It has a connection now.
So why
yeah.
am I singing about lawyers all of a sudden? You know.
Subconsciously you attracted it.
It was a eiendomsagente, you know. What the fuck? Why am I singing about this? You know.
Yeah.
I was wondering if going through stuff like that, because I've like lost like a parent and best friends, and
Yeah.
you know, and some, I'm like, I don't want to fucking write about that, but sometimes
Yeah.
it comes out a little bit. Do you find that happens to you as well?
Absolutely. I think, you know, trauma and, you know, experience are, you know, peas in a pod with creation. You know, I think the connection between trauma and the arts is undeniable. It's you look at most people who are in the arts, they have some sort of.
But what about
dark-
this people here? About Donny?
I mean, yeah, no, it's a big part of my life. Trauma and my work go hand in hand. I mean, there's songs that I've written about stuff that's happened to me that sometimes, you know, moves me to tears when I'm on stage, and sometimes becomes difficult to perform the song because I think it was Tolstoy who said, art is the direct translation of experience.
Yeah.
And whether you know that quote or whether you live by that quote or not, it's inevitable that, you know, the experience becomes something. You know? So.
Theodore Rook, he most said, like, if you want to write poetry, you have to be prepared to die.
Yeah, sure. Or be very lonely. Yeah. Or die in a nappy in a gutter, or, you know.
Exactly. The thing about your like what you guys do, like you don't subscribe to, like when you said like the tangible album, or I mean like the first book that you're gonna like publish now.
Yeah.
So that's happening now. you know?
That's happening now. It's I mean, I'm meeting with the publisher after I fetch my daughter, or before I fetch my daughter. I got to see this guy, and it's gonna be launched on its own outside of the exhibition that I'm doing, the Vision and Verse exhibition.
But that Vision and Verse exhibition did incredibly well.
Yeah,
that was like it was running for how long? That one run that I attended, it was like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, we ran it. We ran it for about a month. We performed at the opening and we performed at the closing of it, but it went really well. We sold everything but 3 pieces, so 10 out of 13 pieces live in people's homes now, and Jacques is a part of that. His wife is a part of that.
Yeah.
And Vision and Verse 2 is around the corner now.
That's a very unique model. How do you get the artists who collaborate with, who make the artworks? Like, name a few of them.
Yeah, so I mean, it's strange. I always had the idea, but I just didn't know how to pull it off. And then, you know, my girlfriend said to me, she was like, "This has to happen." You know, 1 or 2 artists approached me, and I approached them, and we did something really cool. And she's like, "You should do more."
Yeah.
Olivia was like, "You should do more and put it on exhibition."
Yeah, because that's like it's a fascinating format.
Yeah,
and it's got so much legs.
Yeah, so I mean, people illustrate my writing, and what comes out is completely, you know, collaborative. And it's strange because I don't brief any of them. I simply give them the poetry, and then they interpret it the way they see it, you know. And got some lovely artists on board. Couple of them are from abroad.
Name drop Porto.
Lesser known, but you know, Hendrik Gericke, South African who lives abroad. Van Agas Ross, who lives in Ireland. We've got a couple of Durbanville locals. Pedri's on board now.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Jacques Duplessis, Tara Duplessis.
Awesome.
You know, these people featured. Well, Jacques and Tara featured in Vision and Verse 1, and then you know, their stuff sold immediately, and so it was a no-brainer to get them involved with the next one. And Jacques, knowing my work so well, gets it so easily, and his art is. I mean, we've spoken at length about how brilliant Jacques is.
That's such a next level way of selling merch.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. It was. Yeah, I mean, Olivia kind of said to me, she was like, "This should be done," and if it's a success, she said it's going to be a success, and you should make it a brand. And now Vision and Verse 2 is on its way, and Vision and Verse 3 is going to be a festival. So we're going to involve all poets from all walks of life and all artists and visual artists and multimedia and music and everything, and we're going to lock off Harrington Street and use all the venues there as galleries, and we're going to throw a big jaw. Yeah.
Fuck, that's quite a ambitious. That's a big thing to go.
Yeah, it's a big thing. You need.
And do you have a timeline on that?
We're aiming for September.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, got a couple of
spring.
Yeah, spring. So.
Yeah.
Here it is. It's a nice little soundtrack for it.
There's your soundbite. There's your flyer.
Yeah. Vision and Verse.
This spring. Coming to Harrington Street. Smash that like and subscribe button. Come buy a painting, you puss.
Yeah. Very expensive. So yeah, and we've got some really cool dudes involved. Jack Parrows is keen to do a piece and perform.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Kennedy said yes and is going to do a piece and perform. So we have guys that believe in it, especially like.
Can't I come do a loose collage?
You're in, boy.
Yes, thank you. Every day I'm hustling you.
That's why I hit like and subscribe.
No, fucking smash it, bro.
Yeah. And a very lucky, but also.
Are you also aiming for your book to be out?
Yeah, so I want to. I kind of
time.
want to launch the book before then, before
Mm-hmm.
the festival. It should live as its own entity, but yeah, it takes some time. Yeah, it's going really smoothly, but it takes some time.
But for a guy like you who've been profusely writing, like since you can remember, why now only do your book? Why now? Why not 10 years ago? Why not like why now, Donny?
I was having a drink, man. Don't rush me.
No. Well, I'm not rushing. I'm asking.
No. I put together a body of work often, in my life, and I've got all this work, and now it's time to do something with it. I feel like putting out a bundle of poems in your 20s just doesn't feel right.
No.
There's so much more to life, and there's so much more to experience out there until you feel like the body of work encapsulates your life.
No, it's almost like a gut thing also, not to like prematurely publish something, actually so you felt the time was right now.
Yeah, I felt the time was right now, although there have been a fair amount of people pushing me to publish for a long time.
Does that annoy you?
A little bit, because I'm kind of the of the ilk that Yeseni Famani, so but yeah, I like what.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you. I'm actually asking for somebody like you.
Sometimes
because you're the person that I know that fucking writes the most.
Yeah.
You fucking write a lot.
I do. Look, I love it. So I love what I do, and I write for myself first. But there's been a little bit of traction on the stuff that I put online, and I feel like there are people out there that have asked me to own some, to have it in their house.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I like what I've put together. Like I said, I put together work all the time. It's just I don't publish, and now I'm at a point where I like what I've put together, and people are.
And so that's the thing. You quite like it.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess it's, in a certain way, like a coming of age.
There's something to be said for that, because I remember doing an interview with a guy, or he interviewed me for the band back in the day, and this guy, in the interview, I told him, I'm writing a novel.
Okay.
Fucking Father John misting him,
Yeah.
And
how's that going?
Exactly. So he said he basically like stopped his tape recorder, and he said, "Listen, I'm going to stop you there. never tell people you're writing a novel. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why? And he
Because
goes,
then they
he
expect
goes,
it
he
to be
goes,
there.
he goes, how's that novel going? I'm like, I'm 5 chapters in. He goes, well, you know what? Finish your novel, put it in your bedkassie lie, okay, for a year. Take it out after a year, read it again, and then if it's still a vibe,
Yeah.
then publish your book, and then you tell people. It's just like finish the thing.
Yeah.
But don't tell people you're writing a novel,
Yeah.
and that's almost the same. The same approach that you got, where you go like you have to like put it out there when
Yeah.
you feel it's right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I've always wanted to do it. I just, I don't know. Now, I'm completely immersed in the arts, and I feel like, it'd be nice to have something to leave behind for my daughter one day, where she can go, well, Dad wrote this, and it might be a once-off, or I might write one a year, so
Yeah.
we'll see. I just feel like the time is right now. I'm in the right mindset. I've embodied, the art that I make, and it's kind of me paying respects to the amount of time I've spent honing my craft, and so.
Drop a few names there, like a Dylan Thomas or Bikaski, or like who's your go-to guys that you read actually?
I don't read much poetry, although I have my poets that I like, John Keats and Dylan Thomas and those guys. Dylan Thomas was a big influence on me for some time. He has a play on voices.
I picked up on that.
Yeah, it's the play on voices is it's called Under Milkwood, and it's got a whole bunch of characters, and it's so wonderfully written and so dark and humorous and light at the same time. It's the language flexing basically, and he was such a special writer, and he kind of also broke boundaries in terms of the way he structured stuff, and I love writing, and I love writers, and like I said, Shakespeare and Chaucer were big, and the beatniks were big, but there were also lyricists like Nick Cave and Tom Waits,
Nick Cave,
and the poets that became musicians like Leonard Cohen and those guys. That
interesting thing about Leonard Cohen, he used to write in French as well, and you having a surname like Digter, and I wanted to ask you that, like, obviously your dad spoke Afrikaans in the house, right?
Ja.
Want jy
ons is almal tweetalig, maar
soos Cohen wat French, hy kan in Frans het hy ook geskryf. Het jy ooit jou hand getraai in Afrikaans?
Ja, ek het 'n paar Afrikaanse stukke geskryf, maar niks wat ek wil wys nie, maar I've got one called XXX, and
XXX.
yeah, it's about a sunset, like coughing like a witch through the mountains, and, that kind of thing. Maybe I'll put it out at some point, but at the moment it's English, and it's heavily influenced by Gothic and Romantic, and
So as jy wat se naam register flip Afrikaans toe, is daar iets anders wat gebeur in jou mind? Want ek het I recorded an English album, William Welfare, blatantly. It was either that or Ollie Orphan. and
that's a great name.
That is. And also alliteratie in there.
Totally.
Hier kom Ollie Orphan. And committing on an album, never really writing English songs before. It was quite a fucking trip.
It's a different story, yeah.
And I started writing shit like fucking fat people have feelings too, shit like that. I fucking went there, and it was insane committing on lyrics, and or on that like in a different language, which is not my at all. It's like picking up a whole new instrument.
Yeah, it's
a mindfuck.
Yeah, it's a different story, because I guess you think in a certain language, so I know I think in English. When I'm around Afrikaans people, I kind of start thinking in mengels. But it's a different story completely when you kind of have to flip what you do, but in a different mindset, so I think Afrikaans is the most wonderful language. It's so descriptive, it's powerfully poetic, and, and I'd love to make music in Afrikaans as well as write poetry in Afrikaans. It's just
like Jock's Afrikaans songs are fucking killing it. Beautiful. It's crazy hearing him sing in Afrikaans. It's quite strange.
He's got such a beautiful voice, and he's also he's a freak of nature.
No, he's a freak.
So, yeah.
I remember one time we were partying at Van Hunks, and I think you were there.
You remember that?
Yeah, and somebody said, was it Willem Samuel or somebody said that you hanged with Sean Yoko Lennon before?
Yeah, in New York, I met him through friends of mine. He's a strange dude. It's interesting at the same time. I didn't spend much time with him, but I met him that night,
And,
interesting guy.
And interesting in what kind of way? In the way that his fucking father was John Lennon.
Super eccentric, yeah. And his mother was Yoko.
Yeah.
Super eccentric guy.
I must say that guy, Sean Yoko Lennon, one of my favorite interviews from my mentor, Godfather podcaster, who is Mark Maron, was with Sean Yoko Lennon because he was so well versed and he was so engaging, and he's got this very calm demeanor, and you can totally hear he's not standing in the shadow of his parents at all.
Yeah.
And for somebody like Mark Maron, he says it's quite difficult when you're interviewing like a Jacob Dylan or what's that
for the shadow not to
because that's such a fucking huge shadow to be in, and that guy totally didn't bother him at all. You can see he's his own person, and you can hear it in his music as well.
I think if you believe in yourself enough, then you can transcend that, that bracket of where you come from and who a download of. So. Yeah.
But listen, he also went to the Jacques Nadir and Alexandra Richards' wedding,
yes,
which is Keith Richards' daughter.
Yeah.
And the funny thing that we have in common with that, and I want to hear your story. Mine was I was sitting on a plane, and what's his name? Janeman Solms phones me, and he goes, he wants to get one of the Brygrids that looks like a guitar, the Brygcastle.
Totally, yeah. I saw that there.
Was it there?
Yeah, it was there.
Did you see it there?
I saw your Brygrid there.
No fucking way.
I was the MC at that wedding.
You were the MC?
Yeah.
No way. So I wanted to ask you, because they bought like one of the grids to give to Keith Richards, as a gift. Because
it's a cool idea, by the way.
Great idea. And if I didn't cry in China one morning, you wouldn't have had that grid. So that's a whole nother story. But how did you end up being the MC at that wedding? And Ronnie, I know Mick wasn't there, but Ronnie Wood was there.
Ronnie Wood was there,
and the late Charlie Watts was there.
Yeah, so Jacques and I are been friends since we were 18, So Jacques and I, we lived together in a few places, and we were, I was writing and he was an artist and
a filmmaker.
Filmmaker now, he paints beautifully. He's a very talented dude, and he makes incredible films now. I think he just he likes the way I put things together, and he asked me to be the MC, and went and stayed out there with him.
Yeah, flew to New York for that wedding.
Yeah, it was in Connecticut.
Didn't Keith fucking pay the village there to hire a farm?
Look, I don't know. They're very private people, and rightly so. But
fucking we go skinder nou 'n bietjie. Dis wat ons doen op 'n podcast, Donny. Come on. Dis nie elke dag as jy met iemand praat wat by 'n Richard Stroue was nie. It's a Rolling Stones wedding. Come on, that's an anecdote. If you were on Jimmy Fallon right now, you would fucking spit it, bro. Come on, tell me something cool that happened there. It must have been an experience, seeing how many you were the MC literally, so you had to do a speech.
Yeah, I don't know. I ran the evening for them. The Wailers were the band that played.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, it was very cool. Obviously without Bob Marley, but the Wailers performed, and I got to introduce Keith to speak on his daughter and his new son-in-law, and
shook his hand with those calluses.
I saw some nice guitars while I was there.
Nice guitars.
That Martin of Keith's is something quite beautiful.
No
way. Stayed with the family a little bit, and
because
I wrote the speech out there, and Yeah, it was a very, very special time. I mean, they're wonderful, wonderful people, very welcoming and warm. And
So my ex-wife was my ex-mother-in-law. So after that wedding, she phones me and she goes, ja, haar vriendin Tannie Connie, what's his Jock's mom's name?
Corey.
Tannie Corey. She was married to David Frostmos.
Yeah, at a stage, yeah.
It's like, yeah, they just came back from the wedding, and did you know about the? I'm like, no, why didn't you tell me that Tannie Corey is Jock's mom? Because and I go, because my bride is there, and I put Grootnie's fucking album in there, my album.
Cool.
You know, so we made a big thing out of it,
Solicit.
like because I mean, what a time to be alive where Keith Richards is going to braai on your guitar braai roaster.
Totally. No, look, they like to braai.
Yeah, he likes his Argentinian beef.
Yeah, it's they're very nice people, but like I said, they're very very private people.
Okay, I respect that.
Yeah.
So thank you for giving me nothing. The Wailers was cool though.
Yeah, very cool. No, it was.
Yeah, what other famous people do you know, Donny?
I've had a very full and interesting life, but yeah, it's
that's what we're here to discuss. So come on, name drop a few. Like, you don't have to be so coy about it. Just like, because I mean, meeting these kind of people, it's fucking cool. You know, just to being in the same space as them. Yeah. You know, I would like to believe that something of that rubs off on you. Like, especially with me, like for me, meeting fucking somebody like Chris Christopherson or Rodriguez or even James fucking Hetfield. You know,
no, for sure.
It's a you're like touched by some like these people moved you.
Yeah,
you know?
So I think there's something to be said about being in the company of people that are in the industry that you love and that you know, trying to forge a way in. I've met some cool people. I mean,
Name one.
I played a couple of songs before Lenny Kay, who played for Patti Smith. Yeah, I played a couple of songs. I opened, you know, at one of their shows in New York. I shared a stage with TV on the radio. They did an acoustic thing. Yeah, I did that, and
that's fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you know, my friends in the States rub shoulders with a whole bunch of people that have a certain
obviously
amount of clout.
The first rule of that is just stay cool, man.
Yeah,
don't be
cool.
just be cool, man. Dan moet jy fucking niks gewoond wees hier, jy weet, van Suid-Afrika af. Just fucking relax, you know.
Yeah.
I opened for Peter Starsaid once in Frans Hoek, bro.
There you go.
Yeah. And I was like, Jesus, why did you guys get him like this Coca-Cola truck stage? Jesus, fucking Peter Starsaid, have a heart, you know. Yeah. But he was a cool
Please
dude.
put some brandy in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And talking about brandy, so you said you recently quit a little bit of drinking.
Yeah, I felt like it was time.
Because some of your poems and songs,
it's drinking stuff. Yeah,
there's a lot of bar, like, and you don't kick the bar, you lean into the bar.
Yeah,
you know.
You know, there's nothing better than a beer with the lads. You know.
Yeah.
So, no, I just I've had a very busy start to the year. There's a lot going on, and to get my projects off the ground needs full attention. You know, so drinking. It comes and goes now for me, you know. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying the way I feel.
Yeah.
I enjoy the clarity in the morning. That's where I'm getting my kicks now. And you know, my girlfriend Olivia, who's an inspiration and a muse, is on the wagon with me. You know, so it's
great, bro.
It's like a whole different universe.
You like kakvars.
Yeah, full kakvars.
But listen, congrats on everything, and it's always a fucking pleasure to see you guys perform and to see you perform, and love reading your poems. Can't wait for the book. Can't wait for that festival. It's going to be a fucking vibe.
Yeah, you must get involved.
And I'm glad that we got you to do the Taleswapper live album. And
yeah, if those people are listening, they must hand it over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's take a picture. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And you're a fucking champ, Donny.
Thank you, my brother. I enjoyed it. Cheers.
Daai het jy dit. Donny, the Donny Truter. Ek hoop jy daai geniet. Word lekker met Donny gesels. Dankie dat jy ingeskakel het. En onthou, as jy vir my en die Wat podcast wil ondersteun, gebruik die PayPal link in die episode se description of gaan na watpod.podbean.com as jy sommer straight die EFT wil skiet. En dis nou laat en ek moet nou gaan slaap. So tot volgende week. Cheers. Baie dankie dat jy ingeskakel het en kyk mooi na jouself en wees lief vir jou mense.